I find your story impossible to believe, Charisse. The cold reality is that you abandoned him in the woods behind that dumpster. The reality is that he is there, and he is no longer alive. Detective Moore has been analyzing your device and has uncovered a disturbing search history. Explain to me why you would search for something like that. I did not. I could not have possibly searched for those things. This is 21-year-old Charisse Stinson. In this moment, she is realizing that investigators have recovered her deleted digital footprints, and every path leads directly back to her. I need the truth from you. Charisse, look me in the eyes, please. But I truly do not know where my baby is. We have found him. He can finally rest now, and it is time for his mother to tell the real story. Tell me, Charisse, who put him there? I do not know. You know exactly how he ended up there. You do. Something happened to that boy. I do not know if he was already gone when you left him, or if you simply abandoned him in those woods to die all alone. Only days earlier, she had frantically reported her 2-year-old son Jordan as missing. She claimed they were ambushed by a man named Antoine, and that she later regained consciousness in a park with no sign of her child. As authorities initiated an Amber Alert, a sense of dread began to permeate the investigation. It did not take long for detectives to realize that the pieces of her story did not fit. Their worst fears were confirmed when the body of 2-year-old Jordan was discovered in a small body of water deep within the woods. What was not yet clear was that the predator they were searching for was already sitting right across from them in the interrogation room. Now, tell me more about your walk that night. It was getting heavier and heavier. We kept moving until we passed the Checkers restaurant. Yes, go on. That was when a white vehicle pulled over to the side. The driver asked if we were all right. I told him we were. Then he asked if I needed a ride, and I said yes. Can I stop you for just a moment? Yes. When we reviewed the map together earlier, you mentioned stopping near Checkers. You said you were likely just past that point. A little bit past Checkers, but before reaching the Speedway gas station. I see. So, somewhere in that vicinity. Actually, I pointed out a specific spot. I am not entirely sure what it is, but it sits between two locations. It looks like a vacant building, a brick structure that resembles a kindercare facility. Okay. But it is situated exactly between Checkers and the other station. I am familiar with the building you are describing. There is a small space there, but you say he did not pull into the lot? He just pulled over. Did he turn off of East Bay Drive? He just pulled over. We are still talking about this man named Antoine, correct? Yes. Did he pull up to the curb and block the lane? Or did he actually pull into a driveway? He did not use the driveway, but he pulled very close to the sidewalk. I see. Normally, I am very cautious and look behind me. That is just how I am. But he pulled over and rolled down the passenger window. I could already smell the scent of marijuana coming from the car, so I was hesitant to get in. I was thinking to myself that maybe I should just turn back. Well, you had just left the complex and still had a long journey ahead. To me, walking alone does not feel far, but once I was carrying him, I realized I could not make it. I understand. That is a long walk. So, I placed him in the rear passenger seat, buckled him in, and closed the door. I sat in the front passenger seat, but did not use my seatbelt at all. We began driving. He asked for my name, and I gave it to him. I was a bit short with him, because that is how I deal with people like that. Then he told me his name was Antoine. He asked where I was headed. I told him I needed to drop my son off at his father's house. He kept questioning me, asking if I was still involved with him. I will use his words, though I do not like using profanity. He asked if I was still with him. I told him no, that we were just co-parenting. Just to be clear, he was essentially asking if you were in a relationship. Yes, I know when a man is trying to make a move on me, of course. What happened next? As we were driving, he asked what he was going to get in return for the ride. I reminded him that he was the one who offered. Then he asked for oral sex, and I told him I was not interested in that. Tell me exactly what he said and what it meant. It meant performing oral sex. I understand. I told him no again. Then he offered me $150. At that moment, I thought about how I had no money and no way to provide food for my child. To be honest, if things had gone that way and I had just received the money, I would have just gone straight home, because at that point, I would not even need to drop Jordan off. I could finally buy him something to eat. I understand. So he made this offer while you were still in motion? Yes. He continued driving. We made a right turn onto Lake and then a left onto Lafayette. It was almost immediate. The first turn and then the first parking lot. The officer showed me the area earlier. It is much easier for me to see things in the daylight. I have some issues with my vision. That is perfectly fine. I do not know if you have been to that spot, but there is a white structure, not a trash bin, but a fence that surrounds it. There are parking spaces right there, and that is where he pulled in. I remember him placing a plastic bag over himself, and that is when it happened. You need to be specific. That is when I performed oral sex on him. How long do you estimate that lasted? Perhaps 5 to 7 minutes? Afterward, he said that was it. I agreed, but then he kept asking for more. At that point, I told him I did not even want the ride anymore. He became angry and began hitting me. From that moment on, I have been struggling to connect the dots between that location and Largo Central. Let us slow down, because there is a lot to process there. When we were at the hospital during our first conversation, you mentioned he became angry during the act. Later, I asked if he had reached a climax. To be honest, I am not certain if he did. We discussed this before. I am just trying to clarify the details. I asked if he finished. You mentioned that you have had a boyfriend and have experience with men. You told me you could feel some warmth through the plastic. Yes, and essentially he told you he was finished after that. So in your mind, that led you to believe he had climaxed. Yes. And then his demeanor changed. Yes, he became angry. He grew irritated when I refused to continue further. So it seems he got what he wanted initially. Yet he still demanded more afterward. Did he explain why? Usually, once that happens, most men lose interest. They might even just kick you out of the car. I do not know how men like that operate. I am just trying to understand the logic. The detectives began by retracing how Charisse and her toddler first encountered their alleged attacker. Her explanation was an elaborate story, but the investigators were already noticing cracks in her narrative. The details were becoming increasingly surreal. Imagine witnessing the unfolding of such a dark sequence. This is why we examine these cases so closely, focusing on the psychological nuances of true crime. Every reaction and every statement is scrutinized. Some viewers prefer the raw footage of the interrogation without commentary. We provide deeper access to these cases because the reality behind these images is often truly horrifying. I hate that I even allowed this to happen. It is all right. I know you have been blaming yourself, and I do not want you to do that. We just need to go through every detail to ensure nothing is overlooked. At that point, did he ever actually pay you? No, I received nothing. I see. So, what happened to the plastic bag and the other items? I do not believe he ever removed it. I never saw him take it off. Did he pull his pants back up? No, I see. At what point did this happen? He did not really drop his pants. He just exposed himself enough to perform the act. I understand. We have talked about this. I just need you to be completely honest with me. I know you are concerned about how this reflects on you, Charisse, but we must move past that. I am fairly certain my son was asleep during this. I know my child, and if he were awake, he would have been playing or making noise. So you did not hear him speak or move at all? No, I am sure he was sleeping. Let us discuss the physical altercation. You are in the front passenger seat. Agent Luca is portraying the driver, the assailant. This is the position you are in, and I am you. He is leaning over toward your seat. You are leaning into his space. I will not actually do that, but that is the basic positioning. Where did he strike you first? He hit me on this side, using his fist like this, like a backhanded strike. I even asked the nurse to check my hair for DNA because he pulled my hair. I see. And he continued to hit me. He had a mason jar containing marijuana, and he used it to strike me. Where did he hit you with the jar? He hit me all over my face. I was punched in the mouth. Were you attempting to escape the vehicle? I kept reaching for the door handle and telling him to let me go. After that, everything is just a blur. Let us keep the timeline organized. You left your residence around 9:50 approximately. You were picked up shortly into your walk, perhaps 7 minutes in. 5 to 7 minutes. By the time you reached the location where he stopped, he picked you up. Did you begin driving immediately? Yes, right away. It would only take a few minutes to travel from that spot to Lafayette. It is less than a mile away, so perhaps a minute or two to pass through the light. You said the encounter lasted 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. If we include the time spent negotiating, let us say 10 minutes. So what time would it be when he started hitting you? Perhaps 10:15 or 10:20? I cannot be sure because my phone was in my purse. I am not looking for an exact minute, just a general idea. Does that time frame sound accurate? It was within half an hour of you leaving the house, and then all I can remember is waking up in Largo Park. I cannot explain what happened in between. I told the staff to perform a drug test on me. Of course, you wanted to make sure nothing was put into your system. Did you knowingly ingest anything while you were with this man? Not to my knowledge. Were there any unexplained needle marks on your body, other than what the hospital did? That is exactly why I asked for the drug test. Is there a specific reason you believe you were drugged, or are you just being cautious? I am just being careful because I am pregnant. I wanted to take every possible precaution. When I saw you at the hospital, you did not appear to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I do not use any of those things. You mentioned that you avoid those substances because of the pregnancy, which is the responsible thing to do. Now, let us look at the map from the hospital regarding where you woke up in the park and realized something was wrong. Tell me exactly what you told me then. I woke up under some trees. I was in a spot where I could clearly see the 7-Eleven and the hotel. Were you on a paved surface or a sidewalk? It was more like gravel and dirt. I see. I stood up and saw a couple walking by. They were looking at me as if I were crazy. I can imagine. I do not believe they were an older couple. I called out for him and then ran toward the hotel. I remember falling, and then I felt someone repeatedly kicking me, trying to wake me up. I was on my stomach, and I kept screaming that I was pregnant. I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. A man rolled me over and kept saying my name, Charisse, trying to get my attention. Was this all happening at the hotel? Yes. So this was the hotel employee speaking to you. After that, I believe the police arrived. And then I remember waking up again inside an ambulance. We discussed certain details at the hospital. Did you leave any personal belongings in the vehicle? I do not have his green backpack, so it is a possibility that it remained in the car. I see. Were you missing a shoe? And I am missing my shoe. You have your left shoe, but your right one is gone. They were a specific kind of shoe. The investigators were maintaining a gentle tone with Charisse, hoping to hear her entire narrative from start to finish regarding the day her son allegedly vanished. What she failed to realize was that by providing more details, she was giving the detectives more opportunities to expose the flaws in her poorly constructed story. My primary concern is not what he might do. It is where you took him, if you actually did. Where on earth is he? You do not know this man, correct? You have never seen him before? I do not socialize with anyone. You know nothing about him? No. You mentioned he was smoking marijuana when you entered the car. I could smell it, though he was not actively smoking at that exact moment. So, he had recently finished. I am struggling to understand what a man like that would do with a small child afterward. Forgive me, please continue. I am just trying to process this. Where do you think he would take a child? I have no way of answering that for you. I see. Do you often accept rides from strangers? I rarely speak to anyone. Have you ever entered a random vehicle with a complete stranger before? You appear to be a sensible, intelligent woman, and for you to just leap into a car with your child at 10 o'clock at night with a stranger seems completely out of character based on what I have learned about you. Furthermore, to offer yourself in exchange for money. Is the father aware of this? Perhaps partially, but that is not his concern. Based on your history with him, it simply does not seem like something you would do. Essentially, Junior is going to be taken away regardless because I am facing an eviction. I have no employment, and I cannot provide for him financially. I see. So, at this stage, I have never truly been on my own. I had to do what was necessary. Have you ever engaged in an act like that for money before? It does not fit the personality I have observed in you over the past several hours. It felt out of place to me, and it felt out of place to the others. It simply did not add up. We also spoke at the hospital. I recall having you stand so I could examine your legs. Tell me what is on your mind right now, because I feel as though this is all my fault. Why do you feel that way? I should have just... Listen to me, Charisse. I need you to hear something very important. You cannot change what has already transpired. Whatever has happened, has happened. All we can do now is be truthful and make better choices moving forward. Right now, he is still missing. I need to know his location. That is the entire reason we are here today. Where do you honestly think he is? He does not really interact with anyone outside of his family. They do not go anywhere. That is exactly who I am referring to. He is only 2 years old. He obviously does not have a social circle or places he visits on his own, but I truly do not know where my baby is. It is because of me and my... Is it all right if we continue talking? Yes. What was that? It is okay. I want to discuss the last couple of days a bit more. Is that fine? Yes, sir. Let us go back to Friday. When the case manager visited, everything seemed fine. I spoke with the case manager. Take a tissue. Thank you. There should be a box nearby. I am sorry. You have no reason to apologize to me. I cannot begin to fathom what you are experiencing. I am so sorry. I just need to know if you are going to be all right. As I told you, I cannot guarantee that. I do not have the answer. Of course, here are some tissues. To the surprise of no one, the moment the detectives began pointing out the contradictions, the tears began to flow. Yet, the investigators had barely begun their real work. My point is that I do not understand how you ended up in that position. You were not dragged there. Based on your own account, you did not walk there and lie down. And you certainly did not jump there from the sidewalk. I am just trying to make the pieces fit in my mind. Yes, sir. I asked you a vital question at the hospital. I know what your answer was then, but I am asking you again, and I need you to be direct. Yes, sir. Do you know where your son is located? No, sir. Have you done anything to cause him harm? I have to ask these questions. I am not trying to make this harder. No, sir. Has anything happened to him? No, sir. I would never hurt my child. Has anything occurred that might explain why you felt you could not explain the situation? No. He was fine. He is fine. We do not know that for certain. If he is somewhere where I can go find him, I need to know now. Whatever happened, we can discuss it. But something happened to him, and I want to find him. Do you remember Detective Moore? Yes, you gave us your consent to examine your phone. He has been working with your device, and he found some specific search history from Saturday night, around 2 o'clock in the morning. I believe I looked up the causes of a seizure. Yes. And I think that was all. You searched for the causes of a seizure. There was also a search regarding a broken thigh. A search for what happens if a broken thigh goes untreated. Are you sure? I am positive. Are you certain? I am 100% sure. Unless I made a typo, but I am positive. Well, it was more than just one search. It was a broken thigh, and then a broken thigh left untreated. Are you serious? Yes, and this was at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning on that same night. Can he show me that? Can he pull it up right now? I understand that this is your job. Let me see if I can get an image of it to show you, but it is definitely there. Charisse, please. I am still struggling with this story about Antoine. I do not see why he would want to keep this child. I did not do that. You did not do what? I did not search for that. What? That is impossible. What exactly is impossible? Looking up a broken thigh. That is impossible. Do you have the photo? I do not have it with me. That is simply impossible. I have the evidence. I will show it to you. Give me a moment. Charisse, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Charisse. Yes, sir. Did Antoine seem like a... Other than what transpired, did he seem like an unintelligent person? No. Just an average man? An average man in his early 20s. Yes, sir. And he is not going to want the responsibility. He is not going to want to keep a child. No. He would either drop the child off somewhere, and someone would call it in because there has been an Amber Alert active since early this morning. A broken thigh. That is impossible. What is impossible? It is just impossible. Charisse, am I wrong? That is impossible. And you said that was Friday night? It was Saturday morning. Very early Saturday morning. At this point, Charisse could sense the investigators closing in as her story continued to fracture. She should have requested legal counsel, but as is often the case, she did not. The detectives intensified the pressure. Yes, sir. And then you wake up on Sunday morning around 1:30. Correct. And you believe Antoine still had him? Yes, sir. What do you think the odds are that Antoine would not just hand that child over to someone? He might not go to a police station, but he would surely stop at a gas station and leave him with someone. The only thing I can imagine is that he left him at the park with me. I do not know. That is a possibility. I just do not know. I cannot do this anymore. We are still searching. Even as we speak, teams are out there looking. But this conversation is not getting us any closer to finding him. There are aspects of this investigation we must address. I told you this might be difficult, but that is the reality of the situation. Antoine is not going to keep that kid. Am I right? Yes, sir. If I were in his position, I would not. We can all agree on that. So, The child is somewhere. Now, I will be a bit graphic for a moment. If we follow your hypothesis and he leaves the child with you in the park, he likely would have walked out toward East Bay. He is not going to wander deeper into a dark park. He is not going to head into the darkness. He probably would have been discovered if he had gone near the road. Someone would have noticed a small child wandering alone. He has been missing for approximately 18 hours. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he is not going to leave you if you are right there. He is going to stay by your side. He has no idea where to go. He is not going to just wander into the wilderness, hoping someone finds him. He is going to stay with you until you wake up. You are his mother. You are the most important person in his life, especially at such a young age. Yet, we still have no trace of him, Charisse. We have no idea where he went. There are no cameras. Actually, we reviewed the surveillance footage on East Bay Drive. We found nothing that supports your story of walking with a child. I have nothing to verify what you are telling me. How is your temper, Charisse? Do you get upset easily? Do you lose control? The only person who makes me that angry is Jordan Sr. and my family. The man who leaves the child with you constantly. The man who does not provide a single dollar unless you beg for it. The man who assaulted you a month ago and does not care. The man who got you pregnant again. By his own admission, he does not care. The man who has essentially sent your life down a completely different path while he goes off to party. He has left you to be a single mother. You told me at the hospital that Jordan was your first child. He is someone you want to be with, yet all he wants is to be away from you. That is painful, I understand. But I do not care about that, because even if I do not have him, I still have my child. Of course, but being a parent can be incredibly frustrating. Most of the people I work with are parents. The most common truth is that nothing can push your buttons like your own children. They can be frustrating, especially at 2 years old. They can be difficult, needy, and hard to manage, especially when you are alone and without support. You are not getting any breaks. You have no one to help you. Tempers flare. I have lost my temper with my own children. It is part of being human. Sometimes things happen by accident. Sometimes frustrations boil over. Children are resilient, but occasionally something happens that they cannot bounce back from. It causes parents to become terrified and check the internet to see what needs to be done. Things of that nature. I have a very strong suspicion about what actually happened, and it does not necessarily mean it was done with the intention to hurt him. I do not know the exact situation, but something has occurred over the past few days that you are not sharing with me. I want you to tell me the truth. Charisse, look me in the eye, please.
I did not hurt him.
I just want to know.
I just want to know.
Charisse, you have to believe me. I did not hurt him. Please. Perhaps you did not mean to. I did not hurt him. Charisse, look at me. No, you are not going to say that because I know I did not hurt my baby. He was fine. He was fine. I put him in that car and he was fine. He has not been dropped off. We have discussed this. No one has called. No one has provided a location for your son. Antoine has not called. That Amber Alert was sent out extremely extensively. That is how we reached Jordan Sr. People are looking, and no one wants the responsibility of a missing child. They would turn him over as fast as possible. We have searched extensively, and not a single soul has reported seeing your child. No one has called with a lead on his whereabouts. The Amber Alert was broadcast far and wide across the region. That is how we located Jordan Sr., who received the notification on a friend's phone. People are aware of the search, and they do not want to be caught harboring a missing child. They would have surrendered him immediately. We are continuing the search, but we are uncovering nothing but warnings within his own residence. We have found blood-stained clothing. We have testimony from neighbors describing violent sounds coming from your unit recently. We have those inexplicable digital queries. Something is wrong here. I am not going to raise my voice or treat you with hostility. Please, can you just look at me? Your neighbors reported an impact so severe against the wall that it dislodged furniture on their side of the apartment. I am not inventing these facts. Something occurred at home, and we are searching for the truth. We are no closer to finding him now than we were 12 hours ago. So many people are worried and out there looking for him. It may be painful to admit, but I just want the truth so we can move forward. This does not have to mean you are an evil person. The detectives applied pressure while maintaining a composed and reassuring demeanor to prevent her from withdrawing. This psychological tug-of-war persisted until the following day when search teams finally discovered Jordan. His body had been concealed and left near a small body of water in the woods. The autopsy later confirmed the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. Now, the authorities brought Charisse back for a second interrogation, armed with the grim knowledge that the boy was not missing, but murdered. Who placed him there, Charisse? I do not know. I truly do not know. I wish I did. How did he end up in those woods? I have no idea. Do you remember yesterday when we promised to call you out if we suspected a lie? I am calling you out right now. You know exactly how he got there. I am not trying to be cruel, but this is your moment to speak the truth. We know there was no man named Antoine and no car. That is an established fact. I want to know how he lost his life. This is your opportunity to recount the actual events. I will remain silent and allow you to speak if you are ready to tell the real story. But it must be the truth this time, Charisse. We have been encountering contradictions in your statements all week long. It is time for the truth. He deserves that much. The world will judge this situation based on the story you provide today. I will sit here and listen without getting angry, I promise. By this stage, the investigators possessed enough evidence to prove Charisse was responsible for the death and concealment of her son. However, they sought a confession to solidify the case for trial and to provide a semblance of closure to the grieving family members. You must tell the world what happened. Are you a mother filled with regret, or are you the monster they claim you are? There is either a logical explanation for a situation that spiraled out of control, or you simply do not care. I am beginning to fear it is the latter. We have seen the bodies of children before, but there is always a story behind it. People can find room for understanding if you give them a reason. Give them something to feel for you. There is a reason this occurred, Charisse, and people deserve to know. His grandmothers deserve the truth. Your own mother never even had the chance to meet him. She deserves to hear the real story. Jessica has done everything in her power to support you. You owe her an explanation. You have a complex relationship with Jordan Sr., filled with love and resentment. You owe him the truth as well, because he is the father. He has to spend the rest of his life haunted by this. Did he fall? Did an accident occur that caused you to panic? Tell me, you carried his small body nearly a mile. You were terrified and did not know how to react. But I do not know the events that led to that moment. Only you were there. If you want your son to find peace, you must speak. Can I use the restroom first? Yes, of course. I will walk you there. Charisse realized the deception had reached its end. When she returned to the room, the wall of lies finally crumbled. I am completely overwhelmed by everything right now. I did not mean for it to happen. I know you did not. We want to believe that, but you have to tell us the details. I know you loved him. What exactly happened? Please, at what point did things change? Remember, we saw the search for seizures from Friday night into Saturday morning while you were in bed, correct? Yes. So you say he was fine when you both woke up for the day? At what point did he become unwell? We got dressed. What time was that? The timeline remains largely the same. On Saturday, what time did you wake up? I woke up at 7 when Jordan Sr. called, and then I went back to sleep. I woke up again around 11 o'clock. I got him up and helped him brush his teeth. I see. And then you were just spending time together? Jessica brought us food around 6 o'clock. That was the Burger King. Yes, sir. Understood. And was he still appearing healthy at that time? I gave him a bath and got him dressed. He was not acting quite like himself, but he was still able to walk. What do you mean he was not normal? He was acting very strange. His eyes appeared unusual. In what way were they strange? Were they rolling back or crossed? I cannot describe it perfectly, but he was not fully present. I understand. We discussed the term lethargic yesterday. Was he loopy? Yes. Was he able to use the leg he had injured the previous night? He was limping severely at that point. He was limping on Saturday night. Is that what we are discussing? Yes. Was the leg actually broken? I am not certain. You spent the night searching for that information online. He was limping quite badly. So he was having trouble walking? Yes, sir. We left the house and he was walking initially. Did you leave at the time you previously mentioned, around 10 o'clock? Your phone disconnected at 10:22. Does that seem right? I will say 10:20. The intention was to take him to Jordan Sr.'s residence. That was the plan. It is a long journey on foot. What route did you take? I am getting to that. I understand. I do not think you are an evil person or a monster. You just need to tell us what transpired. You left the apartment and he was walking a bit, but then what? I want to be clear that the blood found has nothing to do with this incident. That was from his chin, and it was a significant amount. Yes, sir, that is unrelated. I hope the autopsy proves that. I hope so too. We were heading toward the area near the Outback restaurant, specifically by the office there. That was when he simply lost consciousness, and I was consumed by panic. He just passed out. I know I should have called for help. Charisse was telling the truth about one thing. The blood in the home was not the cause of Jordan's death. The actual cause was internal. Blood was filling the space around his brain, causing it to swell. When that happens to a 2-year-old, the pressure has nowhere to go. How did he sustain that injury? He fell off the bed. That was between Friday and Saturday. He hit his head while jumping on the toddler bed in the living room. He hit the floor. The type of head trauma we are looking at does not usually result from a short fall like that. He might have fallen, but a fall from that height for a child his size would not cause such severe damage. I am just trying to explain what happened. I understand, but my training tells me this was a much more violent impact. It was a very hard hit. Your neighbor reported a loud bang against the wall on Saturday. Did he strike his head on Saturday afternoon? Was the impact severe? What part of his head was affected? I am trying to remember. I am trying to visualize the living room. It was right here, and it was very red. I see. Did you actually witness the impact? No, but I saw that it was very red afterward. How did you know he hit his head from jumping off the bed? There was a knot, and I could tell the difference in his behavior from when he was playing earlier. So where were you when it happened? I was in the bedroom. And where was he? He was in the living room area where his toddler bed is located. Is it the living room or the dining area? More like the dining room. When we visited the apartment yesterday, we saw the layout. Yes, that is where it was. but the bed was positioned more against the wall before they moved everything. It had been moved slightly, but it was against that wall. How did he hit his head with such force, Charisse? Why did you wait 2 days to tell us this? It just spiraled out of control, didn't it? You told one small lie, and it just kept growing. Yes, and now it is a clean slate. All the previous stories are behind us. I want to know how the head injury really happened. I did not make him hit his head, so I cannot explain it. Where was he when your grandmother arrived with the food? He was in the room, relaxing and watching television. Was he showing signs of being unwell then? I do not really understand that word. Was he acting strange? No, he was just sitting there. I am looking at this mark. He has a birthmark right there. No, that is not a birthmark. You can see it clearly. Where? Right there. That is a bruise, Charisse. That is not a birthmark. You previously said his birthmark was on the other side. That is the mark of someone grabbing a child and striking them against something. I have seen this many times before in my career. You panicked. You wanted to take him to the father, or perhaps the hospital. I believe he died in your arms, but something made you walk away. I truly just wanted to get him something to eat, but he would not eat. You cannot eat after a head injury like that. But he did eat. What really happened? We can understand a split second of anger that you would give anything to take back. But we cannot go back. You owe it to his memory to tell the truth so you can be forgiven. For a long time, Charisse insisted she did not know the origin of the injury. But with the autopsy report looming, the truth finally emerged. Charisse admitted that in a moment of rage, she struck Jordan with a backhanded slap, causing him to fall and hit his head against the wall. Forensic evidence from the home confirmed her confession. In September 2019, Charisse Stinson was officially charged with first-degree murder. Nearly 3 years later, in August 2022, she entered a guilty plea. She was sentenced to life in prison without any possibility of parole.